Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Alex's English Podcast. I'm Alex, and I'm so happy you're here with me today. If you're new, let me tell you a bit about this channel. We talk about interesting topics in simple, clear English to help you improve your listening skills. Today, I have my wonderful friend Sophia here with me again. How are you doing, Sophia?
Hi, Alex. Hi, everyone. I'm doing great. I'm so excited about our topic today. We're going to talk about something that many English learners want to know. What's the best way to learn vocabulary, right?
Exactly. Vocabulary is so important. Without enough words, we can't express ourselves clearly, and we can't understand what others are saying. But learning vocabulary can sometimes feel difficult or boring.
Yes, it can. I remember when I first started learning English, I tried to memorize long lists of words. I wrote them down, repeated them, and tried to remember them. But it was not fun at all, and I often forgot the words after a few days.
That's a very common experience. Many people try that method, and it can work for some. But for most learners, memorizing lists is not the best way. It's also not very exciting, right?
Absolutely. My brain felt tired, and I didn't see much progress. Then I found other ways to learn new words, and those ways helped me a lot more. They were also more interesting.
That's great. So let's talk about some strategies that can help our listeners learn vocabulary more effectively. We'll share tips, personal stories, and maybe a few funny moments, because learning can also be fun.
Exactly. And we encourage everyone listening to try these tips. Not all methods work for every person, so you should explore and find the ones that fit you best. But we hope our ideas give you a good starting point.
Yes, that's a good reminder. Everyone is different, and we all learn in different ways. So, let's start with our first tip, learning vocabulary in context. Do you want to explain what that means, Sophia?
Sure. Learning vocabulary in context means learning words through sentences, stories, or real-life situations, instead of just memorizing the words by themselves. For example, if I see the word breeze in a sentence like, "A cool breeze came through the window," I can guess that breeze means a light wind.
Right. And because you see it in a sentence, you understand how it's used. You also understand the feeling or the situation. That helps you remember it more easily than if you just saw breeze equals a light wind on a list.
Exactly. When we learn words in context, they stick in our minds better. It's also more fun to read a short story, watch a video, or listen to a conversation. We pick up new words naturally.
Absolutely. So, a practical way to do this is to read short articles, watch your favorite TV shows in English, or listen to podcasts like this one. Whenever you hear or see a new word, try to figure out its meaning from the context. Then, maybe look it up to confirm.
Right. And if you want to remember it, you can write it down in a notebook, but not just as a single word. Write the whole sentence or phrase. That way you store it in context.
Exactly. You can also highlight or underline the words in a book or ebook, then review them later. But again, review them as part of the sentence. That's the key.
Yes, that's important. Another related tip is to use the new words as soon as possible in your own sentences. If I learn the word breeze, I might say something like, "I love walking in the park in the morning when there's a cool breeze." That helps me remember it.
Right. Making the word part of your active vocabulary is crucial. Otherwise, it might just stay in your passive vocabulary, or worse, you might forget it.
Yes, exactly. And that leads us to our second tip, using flashcards or apps, but doing it in a smart way. Have you ever used flashcards, Alex?
I have. When I was studying another language, I tried using physical flashcards. I wrote the new word on one side and the meaning on the other, but I found it a bit repetitive over time.
Yes, that can happen. But these days, we have many apps that create flashcards automatically. They often use spaced repetition, which means they show you the card just before you're about to forget the word.
That's right. Spaced repetition is very powerful. It's based on how our memory works. If we review a word at the right time, we can keep it in our memory longer. If we wait too long, we might forget it, and if we review too soon, it might feel like a waste of time.
Exactly. So, if you use an app like Anki or Memorize, you can load new words or expressions into the system, and it will schedule them for you. Each time you review, the app decides when you should see that word again.
Yes, it's quite effective. But again, I recommend putting phrases or sentences, not just single words. Seeing a word alone can sometimes be confusing because you don't learn how to use it properly.
Right, context is still important. Also, remember not to add too many words at once. If you add 50 new words every day, you might feel overwhelmed. Keep it manageable.
Absolutely. And if possible, review a bit every day, rather than cramming once a week. 10 or 15 minutes of daily review can really help you build a large vocabulary over time.
Yes, consistency is key. Also, if you find yourself getting bored with flashcards, don't force yourself too much. Try other methods as well. Variety can keep us interested.
Exactly. So, context learning and smart flashcards are great. Now, let's talk about our third tip, focusing on relevant vocabulary. Sometimes, learners try to learn every word they see, even if it's not useful for their life.
Yes, that's a big problem. If I'm an English learner who loves cooking, I might want to learn words about recipes, kitchen tools, or ingredients. But maybe I don't need advanced business terms right now. I can learn those later if I need them.
Right? We all have different interests and goals. Someone learning English for travel might focus on words related to airports, hotels, restaurants, and directions. Someone learning for academic purposes might focus on academic vocabulary.
Exactly. When we learn words that matter to us, we're more motivated to remember them. Also, we can use them in real life sooner. That gives us a sense of progress and success.
Absolutely. So make sure you think about your main reasons for learning English. Then, focus on the vocabulary that will help you in those areas first. You don't have to learn every word out there.
Right. And don't worry if you see a word that you don't know. If it's not important for you at that moment, you can ignore it. If it appears often, eventually you'll learn it naturally.
Yes, that's a good approach. Now, let's talk about our fourth tip, reading and listening extensively. This might sound obvious, but it's very effective. The more English you read and hear, the more words you'll be exposed to.
That's true. Extensive reading means reading a lot of material that you can understand without stopping too often for a dictionary. It could be graded readers, simple articles, or stories you already know.
Yes, the idea is to read for enjoyment, not to stop every sentence to look up words. That breaks the flow, and it can become boring. When you read extensively, you see many words in context, and you gradually absorb them.
Right. It's like how children learn language. They hear and see words repeatedly in different situations. Over time, those words become familiar. They don't memorize them directly, they just pick them up.
Exactly. Of course, if you see a word that appears many times and you still don't know it, you can look it up. But don't do it for every single new word. That would be too stressful.
Yes, and the same idea applies to listening. You can listen to podcasts, audiobooks, YouTube videos, or even songs in English. The main thing is to choose material that you find interesting, so you want to keep going.
Absolutely. If you enjoy sports, find podcasts about sports. If you like fashion, watch fashion shows or vlogs in English. Make it fun and natural.
Right. Then, as you listen, you'll notice words repeating. You might guess their meanings, and little by little, you'll add them to your vocabulary bank.
Exactly. And it's okay if you don't catch everything. Even native speakers don't catch every single word in a fast conversation sometimes. The important thing is to get the overall idea and keep going.
Yes. Now, let's talk about tip number 5, writing practice. Sometimes people focus a lot on reading and listening, but they forget that writing can help you learn vocabulary too.
That's so true. When you write, you have to actively recall words and use them correctly. This process can help you remember them better. If you're not sure about a word, you might look it up, and that also reinforces your memory.
Exactly. And you don't have to write a novel. You can write a short journal entry every day, or a short story, or even some social media posts in English. The key is to produce language, not just receive it.
Yes, active usage is crucial. We can also ask someone to correct our writing if possible. That way, we see our mistakes and learn from them. It's a great way to spot vocabulary we use incorrectly or words we're missing.
Right. But even if we don't have a teacher or friend to correct us, the act of writing itself is still beneficial. We train our brains to recall and organize new words.
Exactly. Now, let's move to tip number 6. Speak and interact with others. This might be scary for some learners, but it's a powerful way to learn vocabulary.
Yes. When we speak with someone, we try to express our ideas. We might realize we don't know how to say a certain word, so we look it up or ask our partner. Then we remember it because we needed it for real communication.
Exactly. Real conversation creates a natural need for specific vocabulary. That need helps the words stick in our minds. It's different from learning a random word that we might not use.
Right. Also, in conversations, we hear other people use words. We notice their vocabulary and expressions, which can expand our own. That's how we learn new ways to say things.
Absolutely. If possible, finding a language exchange partner or joining a club or group can be great. We can chat about topics we enjoy, and that will make us want to learn the words we need.
Yes, it's both fun and educational. And if we're nervous, we can start with friends who are also learning English or do short voice chats online. Any bit of speaking practice helps.
Exactly. And for those who are shy, you can even talk to yourself in English. It might sound silly, but describing your day, your feelings, or your surroundings in English can be a good start.
Yes, that's a great idea. And you can record yourself on your phone, then listen later to spot any mistakes or words you repeated too often. That can be very eye-opening.
True. Now for tip number 7. Use images and associations. Sometimes, connecting a word to an image or a personal memory can help you remember it better.
Right. For example, if I learned the word avocado, I can think of a picture of a green avocado in my mind. I can also think about how I love eating avocado toast for breakfast. That personal connection makes the word more memorable.
Absolutely. Or if I learn the phrase, break a leg, which means good luck, I might picture a friend about to perform on stage, telling them break a leg instead of good luck. That mental image helps me remember the idiomatic meaning.
Yes, visualization is powerful. Some people also create funny or unusual mental images to help them remember. The stranger the image, the more it sticks in your brain.
Exactly. Humans are wired to remember stories and images better than random data. So turn each new word into a small story or a vivid picture in your mind.
Yes, that can be a game changer for remembering words that don't appear very often, and it's more fun than just repeating them too.
Definitely. Now, let's look at tip number 8. Learn word families and collocations. This means we don't just learn a single word, but we also learn related forms and common phrases.
Right. For example, if I learned the word excite, I might also learn exciting, excited, and excitement. Then I can learn phrases like excited about, exciting news, or full of excitement.
Exactly. That helps us see how the word changes in different contexts. We can use it more naturally in sentences. It also saves time because we learn a group of related words together.
Yes, it's more efficient. And for collocations, if I learn the word take, I might also learn phrases like take a nap, take a break, take a chance, take responsibility, and so on. That way, I see how take is used in daily life.
Right, English has many collocations. Learning them directly helps us sound more natural and avoid incorrect combinations. It's better than just knowing take in isolation.
Exactly. Now, let's move on to tip number 9. Set goals and track your progress. Sometimes, learners feel like they're not improving because they don't measure their growth.
Yes, that's common. If we don't have a goal, we might just wander around, learn random words, and not see our progress. But if we set a goal, like learn 10 new words each week, we can see if we achieve it.
Right. Then, at the end of the week, we can review the 10 words we learned. We can try using them in sentences or a short story. If we remember them, great. If not, we review more.
Exactly, and over time that adds up. In a month, we might learn 40 new words. In 6 months, that's 240 new words. That's a lot.
Definitely, it's all about consistency and small steps. Also, we can keep a vocabulary journal or use an app to see how many words we've mastered. That can be motivating.
Yes, seeing our progress is motivating. It's like a little reward for our hard work. And it reminds us that we are indeed improving, even if it's slow.
Exactly. Finally, tip number 10. Be patient and enjoy the process. Learning vocabulary takes time. We won't become fluent overnight, and that's okay. The journey can be fun.
Absolutely. We need to be kind to ourselves. Some words will stick easily, others will take longer. We might forget a word and have to relearn it later, and that's part of the process.
Yes, that's totally normal. We shouldn't blame ourselves or feel embarrassed if we forget something. Everyone forgets words sometimes. Even native speakers forget words in their own language.
Right. So, keep a positive mindset, try different methods, and find joy in the small victories. If you learn one new word today, that's already progress.
Exactly. Learning one word a day might not sound like much, but that's 365 words in a year. And that can really improve your English.
Indeed. Now let's do a quick recap of our main tips. 1. Learn in context. See words in sentences, stories, or real-life situations. 2. Use flashcards or apps wisely. Spaced repetition and context-based cards. 3. Focus on relevant vocabulary. Choose words that fit your interests and goals. 4. Read and listen extensively. Enjoy books, articles, podcasts, and more. 5. Practice writing, a journal, short stories, or social media posts. 6. Speak and interact. Conversations help you learn words you actually need. 7. Use images and associations. Visualize words or create fun mental images. 8. Learn word families and collocations. Group-related words and phrases. 9. Set goals and track progress. Stay motivated by measuring your achievements. 8. Be patient and enjoy. It takes time, so celebrate small steps.
That's a great summary, Alex. I hope our listeners find these tips useful. I wish I had known all these things when I first started learning English. It would have saved me a lot of frustration.
Me too, but hey, we learn from experience, right? And now we can share our experience with others. That's the beauty of teaching and learning.
Absolutely. By the way, do you remember any funny experience you had while learning a new word in English?
Oh yes, I once confused dessert with desert. I wrote, "I want to eat desert," which made my friend laugh. She asked if I wanted to eat a large, dry area of land. I realized my spelling mistake. Dessert has double S, and desert has one S. That taught me to be more careful.
That's a classic mix-up. I had a similar experience with advice and advise. I kept mixing them up because they sound so similar. But eventually, I remembered that advice is the noun and advise is the verb. Now I never forget.
Yes, those tricky pairs can be confusing, but mistakes help us learn. That's another reason not to fear mistakes. They can actually strengthen our memory in the long run.
Exactly. Now, do you have any final piece of encouragement for learners who might feel overwhelmed by vocabulary?
Yes, I'd say, take it one step at a time. Don't feel like you have to learn 1,000 words right away. Focus on 5 or 10 words a week that are useful for you. Practice them in sentences, speak them out loud, and try to have fun with them. Over time, your vocabulary will grow, and you'll feel more confident.
I agree 100%. And I'd add, use the language as much as you can. If you can speak with people, do it. If you can write, do it. If you can read or listen, do it. Surround yourself with English, and the words will start to feel familiar.
Exactly. The more you use it, the less scary it becomes. We hope these tips will help all of you out there who are working hard to learn English vocabulary. Keep going, and remember that every word you learn brings you closer to fluency.
Well said, Alex. Now, let's wrap up this episode. We've talked about 10 tips, shared some funny mistakes, and hopefully inspired our listeners to try new methods for learning vocabulary.
Yes, I think we covered a lot of ground. Thank you, Sophia, for joining me today and sharing your experiences. And thank you to everyone who is listening. We really appreciate your time and attention.
Absolutely. And before we go, we want to remind you, if you enjoyed this podcast, please hit the like button, leave us a comment, and subscribe to Alex's English podcast. It really helps us, and we love hearing from you.
Yes, please do. Also, feel free to share your own vocabulary learning tips in the comments. We're a community, and we can learn from each other.
Exactly. So, take care, everyone. Keep practicing, keep learning, and we'll see you in the next episode of Alex's English podcast.
Bye for now, and happy vocabulary building.
Bye. Keep up the great work.